The rain had stopped and the sun was out again. Yellow light danced on the roads of Port Harcourt, making the wet streets shine like glass. Laughter floated from a small restaurant near the roundabout, where three old friends sat at a corner table, laughing so hard their eyes watered. Mira sipped her cold malt drink and shook her head, smiling. I still can't believe Boma danced with that short man at the wedding. I didn't know he was short until we stood up, Boma said, laughing with both hands in the air. It was too late to run. If I were you, Ifani added, wiping his eyes, I would have fainted. Just collapse on the dance floor. They all burst into laughter again. It was one of those warm, slow afternoons where nothing else matters but friendship. People passed outside, the generator hummed softly at the back, and inside their world everything felt full. These three had been friends since university. They called themselves the Trio of Joy. Back in school, Mira was the smart one, Boma was the funny one, and Ifani was the dreamer. They did everything together, read together, cooked noodles in the same pot, carried each other when heartbreak came, and sat quietly during moments of fear. Now they were grown. Mira worked at a media company and was fast becoming a big name in TV production. Ifani was climbing in the banking world, recently promoted to assistant branch manager. Boma was still figuring things out. She did online jobs, helped her aunt at the market sometimes, and was saving to start a small business. But she never complained. Not out loud. Let's do something crazy, Mira said suddenly. Let's travel this December. Yes, Ifani said at once. Let's go to Ghana or Dubai. Let's start with Calabar, Boma said, chuckling. Don't worry, Bee. This year we're all going abroad, Mira said, eyes shining. We've worked hard, we deserve it. Boma smiled a little tight. She nodded slowly, pretending to sip her drink. That night, Boma sat in her room, staring at the blinking light on her ceiling. Power had gone again. Her fan had stopped turning. Her room was quiet except for the sounds of far-off generators and dogs barking in the distance. She reached for her phone and opened the group chat, the Trio of Joy. Mira had sent a link to a travel site. Ifani had already dropped laughing emojis and said, Let's do December in style. Boma stared at the screen. Her heart was heavy, but she smiled. A small smile. The kind you wear like a jacket when you're cold inside. The next few weeks moved fast. Mira had started shooting a new series. Ifani was preparing for his next banking exam. They were both busy, but they made time to call Boma, send voice notes, share inside jokes. But slowly the calls reduced. Sorry, Bee, I'm on set, I'll call you after, Mira sent one evening. Guy, this week choke, Ifani said in another message. Let's talk this weekend. Boma waited. And waited. One Sunday evening, she cooked rice and beans, lit a candle, and watched an old video of them on her phone. The video showed the three of them dancing on the university stage, wearing matching green shirts, their laughter loud and full. She paused the video and whispered, Come back. One afternoon, Mira invited her over. Come see the new place, Mira said. I finally moved into my apartment in GRA. Boma went. The house was beautiful, white tiles, big glass windows, clean air. Mira had everything, ACs that worked, a fridge full of juice, and a bedroom that looked like something from a hotel. You deserve this, Boma said. You'll have your own soon, Mira replied kindly. They took selfies, drank smoothies, and laughed. But inside, Boma felt small. She touched the hem of her dress. It was the same dress she had worn for her cousin's wedding last year. The edges were fraying. She didn't say anything. She just smiled. Another weekend, Ifani called. Come, let's chill, he said. I just got a new car. Boma laughed out loud. You? New car? Liar. Come and see for yourself. She went. Car was real. Silver. Shiny. Fresh seats. When she sat inside, she didn't know where to place her feet. They drove to a quiet spot near the river, just like old times. Fani played soft music and shared suya from a nylon bag. "I'm proud of you," she said softly. "You'll get there too," he replied with no hesitation. "You're strong." She nodded, but tears burned her eyes. She turned to look outside so he wouldn't see. December came. Mira flew to Ghana for a producer's retreat. Her photos filled Instagram. Her by the beach, her on a boat, her smiling with other big names in TV. Fani traveled to Kenya for a bank summit. He shared videos of tall buildings, group photos with foreign staff, and one slow video of him sipping coffee in a glass-walled restaurant. Boma was home. She helped her neighbor fry chin-chin for extra cash. She washed clothes for her aunt. She used her last money to pay for data just to watch her friends' stories. She laughed. She tapped the heart button. She commented. But she cried when no one saw. On Christmas Day, the group chat was quiet. Boma typed, "Merry Christmas, my people." "Christmas tree." Only Afani replied, "Same to you, B, enjoy." Mira didn't say anything. Not even a like. Boma sat in her aunt's house that night, watching the candle flicker. She was 32 years old. She had dreams. She had skills. But her life felt like it was on pause while the world pressed fast forward. She held her phone and whispered, "Why does it feel like I'm disappearing?" New Year came. Fireworks filled the sky. Mira posted a video in Dubai. Fani uploaded pictures of his family's prayer gathering. Boma wore a borrowed gown and went to church with her aunt. The pastor said, "This year, delay will turn to speed." People shouted, clapped, cried. Boma kept her eyes open. Her heart was quiet. That night, she opened her notes app and wrote, "I think I am still important. I think I still matter. But sometimes I feel like the world left me standing at the bus stop, and the bus moved on without me." January began. Fani got engaged. He sent a private message to Mira and Boma with the picture of the ring and his fiancée smiling. "Wow," Mira replied. "She's beautiful. I'm so happy for you." "Congratulations," Boma wrote. Then she switched off her phone and lay down. That night, the fan was not working again. Her data was low. Her chest felt heavy. She whispered to the dark room, "What about me?" One afternoon, Mira called. "I've been thinking of you, B," she said. "I'm sorry I've been quiet." "It's okay." "No, it's not okay," Mira said. "Let's do something this month. Let's reconnect." "All right." "Promise." "I promise." But when the weekend came, Mira canceled. "Sorry, B. I have a shoot that moved to Saturday. I'll make it up to you." Boma just replied, "It's fine. I understand." But something inside her closed. Slowly. Quietly. In February, Boma didn't message anyone for 2 weeks. She stopped posting. She just watched. One day, Afani called. "Boma, are you okay?" "I'm fine. You've been quiet." "I'm just resting." "Talk to me." There's nothing to say. But there was everything to say. She wanted to scream, "I feel left behind. I feel forgotten. I feel like I'm cheering for everyone while no one sees me." But she didn't scream. She smiled. "It's good to rest sometimes," she said. One night, she stood in front of her mirror. She looked at her face, her eyes, her hair. And she whispered, "You are still here." That was all. She didn't know what tomorrow would bring. But she had survived this day. Again. It was the beginning of March. The sun was hot, the sky clear, and everywhere people seemed to be moving forward. Boma stood in front of her compound gate, watching as her neighbor Ngozi packed her things into a small truck. Ngozi had just gotten a job in Asaba. Teaching job. Not much, but it was something. "You'll be fine," Boma said with a smile. Ngozi hugged her tightly. "I pray so. And you too, Boma." You deserve more than this. When the truck drove off, Boma went back inside and sat quietly in her room. She scrolled through job sites on her phone, but nothing felt right. Either the jobs needed connections or experience she didn't have, or they paid too little to survive on. Till she applied to 4 that day. She was trying not to drown in silence, trying not to be jealous of those who were rising, trying not to feel like everyone had gotten the answers to life's questions while she was still stuck on question 1. By the end of March, Mira launched her first short film online. It went viral. The comment section was filled with praise. She's a genius. This girl is going places. Netflix, come and sign this talent. Boma watched it 3 times in her small room. It was good. Beautiful. Strong. She messaged Mira, I'm so proud of you. I watched it and you blew me away. Mira replied quickly, Thank you, B, you've always believed in me. But that was it. No call. No let's talk. Just a thank you in silence. Afani's wedding preparations began in April. He invited Boma to help him sort his guest list. She went to his place and it was full of life, decor people, caterers, photographers. Boma smiled and tried to blend in. I want you to sit close at the high table, Afani said. You're my day one. She nodded. Of course. But when his bride walked in and saw her, something shifted. The girl didn't smile much. Her eyes looked at Boma like she was unnecessary. Later, Afani whispered, She's just being protective. You know how women are. Boma forced a laugh. Sure. It's fine. But it wasn't fine. That night, when she got home, she looked at herself in the mirror. Same clothes. Same face. Same life. At church the next week, her pastor said, Delay is not denial. But delay is still painful. The whole church shouted, Amen. But Boma sat in silence. The words didn't feel like a promise anymore. They felt like a sentence. One she had heard too many times. One afternoon, she got a message from Mira. B, I miss you. Let's meet up. Come to my place this Friday. Just us. Let's talk. Her heart lit up. She dressed carefully. Wore the only gown she had not repeated this month. Tied her hair with a green scarf. She got to Myra's house and knocked. The gate man opened and said, Auntie say make I tell you say she no day again. She go shoot. No message. No call. No apology. Boma stood at the gate for a while. Then she turned and walked home. The next week, she didn't go anywhere. She didn't answer calls. She didn't smile at the mirror. Her chest felt tight, like the world was growing too fast and she couldn't catch up. On Sunday, she wore a white dress and went to a wedding. Not Afani's. Another friend's. Everyone was dancing, snapping pictures, wearing lace and gold. Someone said behind her, You're Boma, right? Myra's friend. Yes, she said. Oh, I thought you were married. You look like someone who should have 4 kids by now. Boma laughed politely, then quietly walked to the bathroom and sat on the toilet seat. She cried. Not loudly. Not wildly. She cried like someone watering a garden of sadness. One day in May, Boma got a job offer. It was a small digital agency. Pay was not great, but it was something. She dressed up, took a bus, and started. She worked hard. Always early. Always kind. Always trying. But her boss, Mr. Ojo, noticed everything except her effort. He praised another girl who came late but wore makeup and heels. You need to sharpen up, Boma, he said. Presentation matters. She smiled and nodded. But her heart screamed, I'm trying. Isn't that enough? She called Mira again that week. No answer. She sent a message to Afani. I miss our talks. Hope you're okay. He replied 2 days later, "Work has been mad, B, let's talk soon." But soon never came. One Friday evening, Boma sat in a kiki going home from work. She passed by a restaurant and saw Mira and Ifani sitting inside, laughing. With others. New friends. She stared. They didn't see her. They were full of light. And she was outside in motion but not invited. That night, she deleted the group chat. Then she blocked their numbers. Not out of hate, but because silence hurts more when it comes from people you love. June came with heavy rain. She woke up to wet ceilings, broken slippers, and coughs from too much cold. Her boss said, "We have to cut salaries." She smiled and said, "Okay, sir." Then she went outside and screamed into the wind when no one was watching. She screamed everything. "I'm tired. I'm alone. I'm trying. I'm invisible. Why is it so hard to be seen?" One Sunday, she didn't go to church. She just lay in bed and stared at the wall. Her phone buzzed. Mira had sent her a photo. A baby scan. "I didn't know how to say this, B. I'm pregnant." Boma looked at the photo. It was beautiful. She typed, "Congratulations." Then she turned off her phone and slept. Weeks passed. No one checked in. No one called. And slowly she stopped checking their lives too. Instead, she began to write. Every night, she opened a notebook and poured her heart into the pages. She wrote about pain, about silence, about the ache of being forgotten. Her words became her friends. Her stories became her voice. One of them she sent to a blog under a fake name. 2 days later, the post went viral. People commented, "This is exactly how I feel. Whoever wrote this, thank you." Finally, someone put it into words. She cried. Not because she was sad, but because for once she was seen. The blog post traveled far. Boma didn't expect it. She had written it with her heart cracked open, late at night, wrapped in her old wrapper, sweating from the heat. She didn't think anyone would read it. But people did. And they felt her words. Not knowing she was the one behind them. She watched the comments flow in, her eyes wide. For the first time, she felt less alone. Not because her life had changed, it hadn't. Her room was still hot, her account still dry, her phone still cracked. But something inside her opened just a little. Then came the call. "Mira." Boma saw the name flash on her screen and froze. Her finger hovered over the green button. Then it dropped. The phone rang out. 3 hours later, Mira sent a message. "Boma, was that you? That blog post. I know it was you." No reply. Mira called again. Again, Boma didn't answer. What was she going to say? That she was sorry for moving forward while Boma stood still? That life had been busy? That she didn't know? It was too late. Not because Boma hated her, but because something had cracked. Something that could not be glued back with words. The following week, Ifani called too. He said, "Boma, I read something online. It reminded me of you." Boma said, "It was me." Silence. "I didn't know you felt all that." "That's the thing," she said softly. "You didn't know. Because you didn't ask." He sighed. "We were all just trying to survive." "I know," she replied. "But I wasn't." And that was the end of the call. Her words reached people she never met, but the ones she once held close had already moved on. And now she had too. Not upward. Not into success or fame. But inward. Deeper into herself. Into quiet. Into truth. By August, Boma had stopped checking social media. She stopped wondering if Mira would show up at her gate, or if Ifani would call again. She just lived. Woke up. Brushed her teeth. Went to work. Came back. Wrote. Her blog had no name. No face. No bio. Just stories. But strangers waited for her words. She never told them who she was. They never asked. They just listened. One day, Boma sat in a taxi beside a woman scrolling her phone. The woman gasped and said, "I love this writer. Whoever they are, they understand me." Boma smiled gently and said nothing. Her voice didn't need to be loud anymore. Just needed to be true. One Thursday afternoon, she passed Mira in a supermarket. They locked eyes. Mira looked surprised. She took a small step forward. But Boma turned. Quietly. No anger, no speed. Just a slow turn toward the milk shelf. Her fingers touched the sachets, her eyes pretending to read. Mira stood for a moment, then walked away. That night, Boma stood outside her compound and looked at the sky. It was wide and dark and filled with stars. She whispered to the night, "You don't always get to say goodbye." A wind passed through her scarf. The world was still spinning. But this time, she didn't feel like running after it. She let it spin. And stood still. A few weeks later, Ifani got married. She wasn't invited. She heard from someone else. Saw the pictures. The suits, the smiles, the white dress. She stared for a moment. Then closed the tab. She didn't cry. Not because it didn't hurt, but because she had already mourned it. Mourned the version of friendship that forgot her. One day, someone sent her an email. "Publisher. We don't know who you are, but we've read your blog. We'd like to publish your work. If you're interested, reply. If not, thank you for sharing your gift." She stared at the email. Then closed it. She didn't reply. Not yet. Not because she wasn't ready, but because some silence feels safer than applause. In the quiet of her room, Boma laid on her mat. No fan. No noise. Just the soft hum of life going on. She wasn't rich. She wasn't famous. She wasn't healed. But she was honest. And sometimes that's all that remains. In the morning, she woke up and brewed tea with the last bag in her tin. She poured it gently, then sat on her small stool. She looked around. The same walls. Same ceiling. But inside her, something had changed. Not fixed. Just changed. A kind of sadness that no longer begged to be touched. A kind of strength that didn't shout. A kind of ending that made no sound at all. If you have not subscribed to my channel, you might not hear my voice again, but if you are, then you are growing every day. Check my page for more interesting stories. Thanks for watching.